What ladies really want from men has been one of the greatest puzzles of all time. What is it about us that attracts them? Do they want a guy who is very obedient and constantly super polite to them? Or do they want a powerful, dominating warrior, such as a Spartan? You'll quickly discover that females' claims of attraction and who they really end up with are frequently two very different things. The bad boy is one of the most alluring male tropes ever. Consider the guys at work, or in school, who consistently seem to have girls trample each other to get to them. Ironically, the majority of these guys are not even really handsome. These are the males that the girls are chasing. These guys tend to seem more grungy than the equally handsome couples you'll see in many Hollywood films. How can an attractive girl, who resembles Barbie, wind up with a large lumberjack kind of a guy? And at the same time, you see incredibly handsome men walking around with women who aren't exactly the picture of a princess. This enormous mystery's solution is closer than you would imagine, also quite simple to comprehend. The only true distinction between the males who have and don't have extraordinarily attractive girlfriends is in their behavior. The majority of girls are like finely tuned instruments, continuously analyzing the implicit meanings behind a man's behavior. To put it another way, they are naturally adept at interpreting nonverbal cues like body language and voice tonality, etc. The majority of girls will claim to desire a nice guy, but when given the appropriate circumstances, they'll usually end up with the bad boy. But the problem is that the traditional bad boy comes with many traits that we don't want to develop, such as not caring about other people. Subconsciously, both men and women are attracted to one another. Therefore, we typically have no control over what attracts us. Consider that for a moment. Both males and females actually have no control over what attracts them. They are able to actively oppose it. The law of attraction, however, will always exist. Imagine that every girl has a set of master switches inside of her that govern her attraction. Almost all of these switches, for things like confidence, unpredictability, mystery, and sheer masculinity, are smashed by the behavior of a typical bad boy. All you need to do to have the same impact on the majority of ladies is act in the same way. The trick, though, is to retain the positive characteristics of the bad boy while getting rid of the ones that will make you unstable and get you in trouble with the law. If you adhere to the straightforward guidelines, you're going to discover you can be a Spartan version of the bad boy who possesses all of his positive traits but none of his negative ones. Being tough on the outside but loving and vulnerable on the inside is the first rule. Almost all females have a dream of being with a man with a rugged exterior, but who also has a more sensitive side. Second, the bad boy will express his viewpoint without regard for what others may think. One thing to keep in mind is that a high-value man never prioritizes the opinions of others over his own. To put it another way, work on yourself and your image, not for the approval of others. The third principle primarily addresses your outward look and body language. The bad boy maintains a straight back, an elevated head, and a slightly raised chin. They occupy a large amount of area when seated. One can contend that the defining characteristic, the common trait among all of them, is a disregard for what others may think of him. People will always share their opinions with you wherever you go in life. Most of the time, they convey this non-verbally by their body language, the tone of their voice, or the way they look at you, or they may directly tell you at other times. Realizing that all of these things, and all of the people who evaluate you as you pass through the hallways of your school or your profession are just only opinions, is the defining and most significant quality of a bad boy. But your own view of yourself is the only one that genuinely matters, the only one that matters more than all the others. These are the fundamental characteristics of the bad boy that most girls find appealing. The sooner you put them into practice, the sooner they will improve your life. He who believes he can and he who believes he can't are both typically right, according to a well-known proverb. Consider a situation where there are two guys and one of the guys has girls lining up to be with him. The other, however, is unable to seduce any females. But the plot twist is right here. These guys are both equally handsome and smart. In actuality, they resemble mirror images of one another. The only distinction is that one feels deserving of girls' attention and all these wonderful things in life. The other person thinks he doesn't though. Both are accurate. For countless years, girls have a magnetic attraction for bad boys, since this is how they were designed. They quite literally can't help it. And all you need to do is adopt the positive characteristics of a bad boy, while eliminating the ones that are not helpful, and you may implant these new thoughts and gain from them by regular practice and repetition.